Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name's Chris, and you're watching Northgarden Comics. Typically on my videos, I am showing you back issue hauls of books that I pick up at a local show or a sale, maybe a smaller convention, a garage sale, any back issues that I've picked up to build out my collection. And those are going to be books that I get at really good prices. My favorite way to buy back issues is in the dollar bins, and although there are some titles and issues I am willing to pay up for, there are at the same time so many cool comic books from a variety of eras and publishers and characters and creators. So I will hunt for the good deals and try to get the best books that I can buy at the cheapest price. And that's typically what my haul videos are. And you can see some really cool books in those videos, and I encourage you to watch those. I love it when people watch my videos. But the downside of those haul videos is that you may gloss over a lot of really cool comic books. And so I am starting a new series that I will probably sprinkle in between my other videos and try to focus in on one or maybe a handful of books that I've shown you in a larger haul. And so I'm calling this series Stop and Smell the Comics, because while it is fun to see all those cool deals, I do want to slow down and let you and me together kind of appreciate some of the books that maybe sparked my interest for one reason or another, and I thought it'd be cool to do a separate video. Or maybe as you watch some of my bigger haul videos, if there's something that you see that you'd like to see spotlighted in one of these episodes, then let me know that as well, and that's kind of how I'll generate this content. But for this first one, I've got 4 books that I've selected. These are books that I showed in a recent haul video, and these are just some that stood out to me as maybe warranting a little bit more attention in case maybe you have some questions or you're thinking about looking for these as you go on your own comic book adventures. So let's go ahead and get to these. I guess real quick before I do though, I'll say if you like this kind of content, please take just a minute, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring the bell for notifications so you'll be notified when I upload my next video. And with that said, let's go and start with this special edition for Spider-Man and Daredevil. Marvel did a variety of these special edition comics in the early 80s. Obviously, you can see I've got this Spider-Man and Daredevil, and then I've got this 2-part Captain America over here that we'll also look at. But I know there were others featuring characters like Fantastic Four, Uncanny X-Men, and others. Most of them, at least the ones that I've seen, seem to have been published somewhere between 1982 and 1984. And they all reprint earlier stories, either from the Silver Age or the Bronze Age. And there's no set criteria, it seems, around how many issues these special editions would run for. This one, for example, even though it says #1, it's just a one-shot. They never did a #2, as opposed to Captain America, which went for 2 issues and then ended after that. So they seem to be different, and the only way I knew was to look them up in my CLZ app to see how many issues do I need to try to hunt for if I want to complete this thing. But the other thing I'll tell you is that what seems to be the case for at least the examples I have here is that although they hook you with a particular character or characters, really the main focus of these reprints is around a particular creator. And in the case of Spider-Man and Daredevil, the focus is really Frank Miller, because what we get reprinted here are Frank Miller's first stories on Daredevil, which appeared in Spectacular Spider-Man issues 27 and 28. And it's reading the introduction that lets you know it's really about the creator that Marvel was after in putting together the content for these special editions. And you'll see that in the Captain America examples as well. Just a funny side note, there's a little typo down here. Jim Salicrup in the introduction calls out issues 26 and 27 being reprinted, but it's not. It's issues 27 and 28. And I don't know, maybe that was a typo in his part. Maybe whoever typed it up made that typo, but that was just a funny little thing to notice there. But then as we go through here, we get the reprint first of issue 27. And what I can't tell you with certainty is whether or not these are complete reproductions or if they've been edited. I know that in a lot of Marvel's reprint issues over the years, you did get edited forms of those original comic books. Maybe they left out panels or whole pages for the purposes of achieving a certain page count or for some other reason, but I know that they're not always 100% reproductions. I just don't know if in this case, if these are the complete reprints or not. And I don't know, I don't own the original issues to be able to compare to. So if any of you know, let us know down in the comments. But you get this reproduction of issue 27. And then once that story concludes, that's a cool panel there. Here, that's a cool panel as well. A lot of cool panels. In the middle, we get a cover gallery. And up here it says, here are the original covers from the stories in this issue, plus a collection of early Frank Miller covers. So we get the covers to 27 and 28. But then we also get Marvel Premiere The Falcon, issue number 49, and Marvel Spotlight on Captain Marvel, issue 2. Marvel Spotlight on Captain Marvel, issue 8. Marvel Spotlight on Dragon Lord, issue 5. And then Marvel Spotlight on Star-Lord, issue 7. And as I was looking through this, I tried to figure out what was Frank Miller's first cover at Marvel. Is it one of these? Or is it something else? It's not included, because this says it's got these two that are reprinted the whole issues, but then these other early covers. But it wasn't clear to me online what his first covers were at Marvel. It's possible it was these two right here when he did this story. But if any of you know, let us know down below in the comments. What was Frank Miller's first cover work at Marvel? Was it these, or was it different issues? But either way, we get early covers from Frank Miller at Marvel. And then we get the reprinting of Spectacular Spider-Man 28 after that. There's also some additional material that was thrown in here. The introduction mentions some pages that were done by some others by way of a flashback scene. I haven't read this yet, so I don't know which pages those are. But just to let you know, there is that additional material in here, and that is just to give some context to someone who hadn't been reading Spectacular Spider-Man and is just reading this as a standalone issue. And then you get this page at the end here. Looks like it gives a little bit of context here about, because it's asking who was Carrion and why was he saying those nasty things about Peter Parker. But you get this kind of page of text at the back, and then one last full page splash panel there. But this is the special edition for Spider-Man and Daredevil. You got a cover art by Frank Miller, both on the back with cool silhouettes. And then this cover here, which I think he did this cover for this special edition. And it's got a little bit higher price tag there at $2, given the page count and the lack of other ads in here. But that's the first one, Spider-Man and Daredevil special edition. But then let's move on to this next one here. It's a two-part special edition featuring Captain America. And similar to the Spider-Man, higher price tag, a little bit thicker, higher page count, but it hooks you with Captain America. But this one as well is a focus on a creator. In this case, we're focused on Jim Steranko. And it really becomes clear that these special editions are about the creator even more so than the character, because we get more than just Captain America in these issues, and you'll see that as we go through here. Down here at the bottom, it gives you the contents not the original issues that these stories were printed in, but the story names themselves. And that makes it a little bit hard if you're trying to track these things down. You have to go online and look up those stories to see where they were printed originally. But I've done the Googling already, and so I can tell you that what we get in this first Captain America Special Edition is Jim Steranko's stories that he did for a few early issues of Cap. The regular artist at the time was, of course, Jack Kirby, and Jim Steranko came in and did an issue, which was issue 110, and then 111, and then 113. And we get that story reprinted in these two comics here. What I'm not sure is if issues 110, 11, and 13 were entirely Jim Steranko issues, because when I look this special edition up online, it says, for example, that No Longer Alone was the first Captain America story in issue 110, and that Tomorrow You Live, Tonight I Die was the first Captain America story in issue 111. I can't find any reference to any other stories in either of those Captain America issues, but I don't know, maybe it's just wrong in calling out the first story. But either way, this reprints the Jim Steranko work on Captain America in some of those early issues. And we'll just kind of flip through here. He's got some great panels and great splash pages as well. All right, go through. Here's the first example of that. Great 2-page splash. And then once you get through 110, it goes on to 111. You also get the introduction of this character, Madam Hydra. She was a creation of Jim Steranko. He introduced her in issue 110. And then we go on to the second story here. More Madam Hydra. Again, great action. Some cool pages here. Another nice 2-page splash. And then let's see what you get here. Here's where you start to see that these special editions are really about the creator and not just about the character in the title, because what you have here is this story called At the Stroke of Midnight, which was part of a horror comic. I forget the name of that comic right now, but this was the first story in issue number 1 of that other horror comic, and it was written and drawn by Jim Steranko. It's a haunted house kind of a story. I won't give you the plot details. There's no spoilers there, but I think this was done in, I want to say 1970 when this one came out. But yeah, this is a Jim Steranko focused issue because you get the 2 Cap stories, but you don't see any mention of that horror story on the cover anywhere until you get it home and start to read it. And the only clue you get, of course, is the table of contents in the front, and unless you're knowledgeable of that story already, you wouldn't guess that that's a horror story as opposed to a Captain America story. But yeah, Jim Steranko really is the focus there in issue 1, and then it continues here in issue 2, where we get reprints of the Captain America 113, but then also you get more Jim Steranko, but non-Captain America. There's actually a romance story in here, and then there's a Nick Fury story in here as well. And so all Jim Steranko focused. And on the front here, you've got the cover to Captain America 113. And on the back, you've got the cover to Strange Tales 159, which may be Steranko's first work on Captain America. Strange Tales 159 came out in 1967, and then these issues of Captain America 110, 11, and 13 came out in 1969. But you get the reprints of those Captain America stories first, going through here, but then, oh, that's cool. And then once that's done, that's a great panel, you get some other stories. Well, you get this, this kind of few pages is a reprint from Not Brand Ek, which is not done by Steranko. Kind of a spoof of things. Maybe they included it because of the Nick Fury connection. I'm not sure. But once you get through this, then it's back to Steranko, and this is actually a romance reprint that he did with Stan Lee. So not Captain America at all, but Jim Steranko is the common theme and thread throughout all of these here. And at the end here, you get this reprint, Spy School, which I'm guessing then, is that the one that was from Strange Tales, or one of the stories in Strange Tales 159? Because Cap does show up in this one. It gives me like Danger Room vibes from the X-Men. But very classic Jim Steranko, and at 50 cents a piece, way more affordable than trying to buy those originals. Yeah, those are the special editions. So I don't know if you have ever seen these in the wild yourself, if it's something you've wondered if you'd want to pick up, but hopefully that gives you a little bit more information about those to make a decision as to whether or not you want to hunt for those. But then there's still one more book I want to show you, so let's go ahead and shift over to that Marvel Age Annual. Okay, this is the last book I want to show you. This is Marvel Age Annual number 4. I chose this because I love the Marvel Age series of books from the 80s. This was how we got our comic book news, especially for Marvel, in a pre-internet era and pre-Wizard magazine as well. So this was the monthly magazine you'd get in comic book format to get previews of upcoming series, creator spotlights, character information, checklists, all kinds of cool things like that. I collected this on and off in the mid to late 80s, and I'm still working on now filling out that entire volume. I think the regular volume went for about 140 issues, and then there were 4 annuals as well. And this is the 4th and final annual that I thought I would show you today. This, for starters, has a great Arthur Adams cover, which I love. And I think this was the cover to an omnibus edition as well. I just don't remember what it was used for, but that's a great cover. Got a Cloak and Dagger ad on the back, maybe for their first ongoing series. And you can see this is annual number 4 from 1988. And you've got some cool previews in here. I chose this annual specifically because it really struck a nostalgic chord for me. I started collecting comic books in fall of 1987. That was the beginning of my freshman year of high school. And noteworthy, I think, because I started collecting comics probably, several years later than the average person. Most people that I talked to got into it, maybe even before the age of 10, maybe, early, preteen years. But for me, I was a teenager, and that's when I got into comics. And this annual previews and highlights a lot of things that just give me a lot of cool fond memories from that first year of collecting. And so just to show you here, here's Jim Salicrup again. We saw him in the doing the intro to those special editions as well. But this came out in, I think it was June of 1988, and he talks about the different annuals and how they each kind of had a theme of their own. This one has several previews of upcoming comics and series, and then you get this feature that's called Marvel A to Z down here in the table of contents, where they run through in alphabetical order all of the different properties and give you a preview in just text form of what you could expect in the upcoming like 12 months of stories. And they do a Marvel A to Z, but then you can see they do a new universe A to Z, which was coming out at that time, and then an Epic for the Epic comic line, and then the Star Comics as well. And then there's a little trivia quiz in there also. So we'll just flip through and see this. I thought this first preview was really great to include. This is a little preview of Wolverine, and that is his first ongoing series. And that one has a special place for me because that's when I started collecting Wolverine. That was my first #1, and great iconic cover. Was it John Buscema doing that in those early days? And yeah, it's just so fun to look back and to be reminded of, you know, when these things were just coming out. And this talks a little bit about not only Wolverine, but X Factor. You get a preview here. You see what's going on with the New Mutants and Ilyana Rasputin, aka Magic, and she talks about Inferno, because they were getting ready for the Inferno event in, I guess, was that 1989 that came out? But some of those things you start to see teased in these preview pages. And then we go into the Marvel Comics A to Z, and you can see it goes through Alpha Flight, Amazing Spider-Man, Avengers, Captain America, classic X-Men, which was still coming out at the time. What else we got here? Conan, Cloak and Dagger. I'm not going to read everything to you here, but you can just get an idea of what was coming out in 1988 and 89. Excalibur, still in its early days, and that was another one. I bought that #1 when it came out. That was one of my first X-Men related #1s for teen books. So it flips all the way through, and then we get our next preview of Speedball. Speedball character. I did jump on with his #1 because I was into grabbing any #1 of something that was interesting to me at the time. His run only lasted 10 issues, unfortunately, but I did grab those. Oh, and this I want to point out because I actually just saw this on a Facebook group that has to do with comics from this period, and someone was showing a poster of the Marvel Universe, and it was a big poster, but I think this is where it originally came from. This was a contest that they ran, and they wanted people to name every character on this poster. And if they did it, they had a chance to win a whole year's worth of Marvel Press posters. So that was pretty cool that they ran that. And then we continue with the A to Z listings here. That's a cool image, kind of highlighting the coming of some of the Onslaught. Damage Control preview. Trivia quiz, I think this is what this is here. New Universe A to Z. Sorry, it's hard to turn these pages. Ah, yeah, the Marvel Trivia quiz. That'll be cool to look through. Another preview there. And then Epic A to Z. Come on. One more page in here I think to look at. And there's Star Comics A to Z. So you still had Alf coming out, Care Bears. This must have been after Thundercats because they're not listed on here. And there's your answers to the trivia quiz. And then Silver Surfer ad. So yeah, love these Marvel Age, both the annuals and the regular monthly magazine. Just so fun to remember this era of comic books and to see these previews and things from before any of some of the really iconic comic books and series from the time even came out. So very fun, and I hope you enjoyed seeing that one as well. All right, with that then, I'm going to say that's going to do it for me, and that's going to do it for this episode of Stop and Smell the Comics. I do hope you saw something that you liked, and I hope maybe it was a little bit informative as well, in case you've seen some of these issues in the wild, or you've been wondering, do I want to go hunt for those? Hopefully now you have a little bit more information to help make that decision for yourself, and maybe it was just fun looking back and remembering some of these comics from the 88 and then 1982 to 84 kind of era, and reprinting some really classic Silver and Bronze Age comics. Once again, don't forget to hit that like, the subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications, and leave me a comment down below and let me know the kinds of things that you're hunting for in your own comic adventures. Now, if you're not quite ready for the YouTube fun to stop, I have hand-selected a couple videos here for you to check out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.